We're all nervous, sorry. Will I do two or three?
I think it's 3 or about 10, 12 minutes.
Cool, okay. This doesn't have a name, sorry. None of my poems do. Hey, hi, how are you? The messages stack up, troublesome speech bubble, Tetris blocks settling and resting in my inbox. Bubblegum, synthetic, insincere, stumbling blocks, and they say, give it time, but the time TikToks and it's ridiculous. Like, hey, hi, how are you? Like, I didn't reply, so take that cue. There's a version that's polite and there's a version that's true, but you're not getting that I don't want to talk to you. Like, how could he have thought that date went fine? Like, I got there at 8 and I left at 9, but still he proceeds to text me millions of times and always with the same few lines. Despite the fact that within the first 4 to 5 minutes he had given me a comprehensive guide of all the women he had been with, described, rated and clarified, and I tried to see his good qualities, but that positivity was sounding like apologies on his behalf, so I chalked that one up to experience. Like, maybe in a week I'll have a laugh, like make a bit of fun at my own expense. Like, Jesus, now that got a bit intense. Now I'm still trying to ignore it because it's been so long since that date where I told him he came on too strong, since that date where he asked to play 20 questions and I'm like, I think I just got indigestion. Because the trouble with a Mr. Hey, hi, how are you is he asks what you're into or willing to do or how much of what you've done with who, and it's depressing and you don't want to believe it that it's true that such people exist. And I'm pissed that we're meant to be polite, like taught to let them down gently, even if it means just talking shite, because you see it so very rarely black and white in the barely there grey area twilight where we can't protest, boundaries transgressed, and it may seem like the innocent end of the spectrum, these lads getting persistent and ignoring your rejections, but it's not some innocent love lore and imploring, it's straight up entitlement and it gets boring. It's not some harmless love struck mission, it's telling a woman that she can't make her own decisions. You see, because I've had like a breakup that lasted 2 years because it turned into cyber harassment, and I spent time enraged and mostly just flabbergasted at the constant contact that comes back every time you think he's past it. Because like some of these types don't seem to care if you haven't replied, they'll just send some angry messages to show you that you don't get to decide, like your privacy comes second to their wounded pride. Thank you. And now I'm going to do the poem I always do about when you're talking to people who seem fairly sound and then they say that women have a place in the home and it's uncomfortable. I don't know if we should persevere or just disband. There's an atmosphere like scalding coffee poured on someone's hand, and I'm having to think about when this all stopped being grand. As the silence closes over the last notes off a playlist on someone's iPad, and our poses take on a forced quality. It was a mistake to start talking about gender equality, because I'm pinching myself and I'm rubbing my eyes and I'm being like, are these my mates? Please let there be some mistake. Because Kate the Great is helping herself to more cake and the grand guru Lucy Ann is trailing in her wake, and they start off in these vague innocuous terms in a way that is obviously fake. And Kate's like, it's not so much about men and women being equal, it's more about people being people. But anyways, that's hard to transpose to the workplace, and anyways, women have a place in the home. Wait, what? I take a sip of tea wanting like tequila shots, and I want to make this easy and be breezy, love you lots like jelly tots, but I am humorless and queasy with this bitterness and feeling not so hot. So be it the fact that my second chakra's out of whack, or be it that the moon's in Jupiter, but your affected mentality of pseudo-liberality could literally not be stupid. Or like, what is this thing where some women bring down other women in subliminal ways? And are we after time travelling back to the old-timey ways of the old-timey days? And are we deluding ourselves that stuff has changed? And are we concluding a struggle before the final stage? And I thought that this couldn't get worse, but now that can be arranged, because Lucy Ann's got confessions planned and she's by no means running out of steam, and she's all like, I don't really believe in feminism because I think that that shit's a bit extreme. And now she's rolling a smoke in her flea market jeans and she's not wanting females to be human beings, and I'm so depressed with regards to what all of this means. Because if we dispensed with clarity, dispensed with unity, dispensed with the concept of equal opportunity, because honestly your views, they're not working, and this is like the time you thought craft work had something to do with twerking. This is like the time that Kate told Lucy Ann, like, you know the way Ali does all that slam poetry now, that shit's because she hasn't got a man. Like, you're treated as a freak for having interests or plans, because what is this thing where some women bring down other women in subliminal ways? And are we after time travelling back to the old-timey ways of the old-timey days? But we just paint this facade like we're not really mad and we leave it for a couple of days. But when do we start saying, oh sure, it's grand anyways? Thank you. I'll do a last cheeky one or something I want. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having me down though. Okay. If I still knew you, I'd wink like alright passing by you at parties, and when everyone else had unfastened their scruples, if I didn't have a mirror I could look in your pupils, and youthful mindset shining truthful under eyelids of the islands, joined by an insular peninsula of retina and iris. If I still knew you, I'd wink passing by you at parties, and I'd know your thoughts are bright like boxes of Smarties. Amid these kids too arty for suburban upbringings, our brainwaves would be singing, and familiar in our innocence like that hosier song we get along fine like pastimes, instead of this nonsense of when was the last time, like scrolling through Facebook chat after some more wine, like was it that or even that I said wrong. But it's like something's looking after me, because I got in yet another minor car crash without a scratch on me, and part of me just wants to let this stuff happen naturally. Like maybe I wasn't meant to be in your life. We glanced off one another with no visible damage, so what am I doing acting like I can't manage now? We've all got this unshakable distaste, and I've got this anxiety that syncopates my heart rates, but maybe I'm just not good at counting my blessings, because after all I did ordinary maths, and now I even hate English with all of its he's and its she's and its thises and that's. But without our half daydream partnership in crime, I can't like stuff anymore. Floodgates are locked doors now. I can't say, hey, I bought rollerblades, or I saw graffiti in a train station that said your name, or when I walk on Thomas Street I see these ghosts of our last days. Before we got storm tossed and I got a bit lost, I see these invisible footprints crisscrossed. But now the light's blue shining from the window behind you, and if I didn't know the complicated stuff I knew, could I join you on what you call your nocturnal flaneurisms? If it didn't impinge on your curious purisms, could we count the lights on the office block still lit, and watch the liffey black and slow moving, and think like a void that reflects in a technicolor yawn all the neon and the litter and the lights left on, and the tarmac glitter in the bruising at dawn, and the stuff that's bitter and the stuff that's gone? If I still knew you, I'd wink passing by you at parties, and we wouldn't be those kids, good at denial and bad at eye contact, and we act like our future is a signed contract, and we don't want that, or I don't want that. Alright, thanks. I think I'm going to leave it there.